So we will have the class on the Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 11. And I'm a stand-in for Yudhishthir Prabhu, who unfortunately he couldn't give the class today as he is sick. Otherwise he is always giving the Bhagavatam Wednesday class. So I hope you can bear with me to be trying my best on short notice. So so let's take a look at at the words for today. So that is Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 11. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. So the synonyms. Vadanti, they say, tat, that, tattva vida, the learned souls, tattvam, the absolute truth, yat, which, jnanam, knowledge, advayam, non-dual, brahmaiti, known as Brahman, paramatmaiti, known as Paramatma, bhagavaniti, known as Bhagavan, shabdyate, it's so sounded. Translation: learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan. Purport: the absolute truth is both subject and object, and there is no qualitative difference there. Therefore, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan are qualitatively one and the same. The same substance is realized as impersonal Brahman by the students of the Upanishads, as localized Paramatma by the Hiranyagarbhas or the yogis, and as Bhagavan by the devotees. In other words, Bhagavan, or the personality of Godhead, is the last word of the absolute truth. Paramatma is the partial representation of the personality of Godhead, and impersonal Brahman is the glowing effulgence of the personality of Godhead, as the sun rays are to the sun god. Less intelligent students of either of the both schools sometimes argue in favor of their own respective realization, but those who are perfect seers of the absolute truth know well that the above three features of the one absolute truth are different perspective views seen from different angles of vision. So we just stop there and just look at what we just read, because you know how it is in our day and age. We cannot digest that much before we need to actually stop a little and think about it. So just like take a look at the first paragraph here. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Shakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Vandaham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Vancha Kalpadrubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanvyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So what I was just reciting was a prayer to my own Guru and to the whole Guru Parampara for getting blessings to be able to speak properly regarding this absolute truth. May Guru bless us all so that we may hear and speak properly regarding these matters. So the translation said, learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan. So we have three features then of the absolute truth. So qualitatively one and the same, as Prabhupada says in the purport. So let's take a look at this impersonal Brahman. Prabhupada said, by the students of the Upanishads. So the students of the Upanishads, in other words, they are usually impersonalists. Yeah. So then you can say, but you Hare Krishna people, are you not also studying the Upanishads? Not all of them. We focus on the few ones which are very much personalistic. So for example, we are studying the Ishopanishad now in our Bhakti Shastri. So we're studying, the books which are more focused on Bhakti. So Ishopanishad is one of these Upanishads. There are others also. For example, the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, that talks directly about Radha and Krishna. But most Upanishads, they talk more, you can say, in the mystical terms. They're concerned, with the mystical Ashtanga Yoga practice and so on. And that is not really our focus as aspiring devotees. Our focus is the Gita Upanishad, or the Bhagavad Gita, which also is called an Upanishad, because it has the same style as the Upanishads have. It's highly philosophical and to the point. So usually what is called the students of the Upanishad, they're also called Advaita philosophers. That means they are seeking the oneness, to experience oneness with Brahman. There is also the other side of you can say, Brahman students, and they are called Brahmavadis. And then in that sense, the Brahmavadis, they are simply not having high realization. They have come to the point of Brahman, realizing that everything is part of Brahman. But they are willing to go further also, to keep on learning. Yeah. Those who want to melt together with Brahman, in devotional, in Vaishnava circles, this is even called spiritual suicide, because one gives up one's identity by becoming one with Brahman. As we talked about yesterday, when we talked about how does Gaudiya Vaishnavism work in connection with Tantra. So this, you can say, impersonal school, everyone wants to merge with Brahman. They're also using, this Tantra where one worships Shiva and Shakti with the aim of becoming one with Shiva and Shakti. We, however, are using the Vaishnava Tantra method, by which we are realizing the difference between the worshipper and the worshipped. And so we have to step at least up to the Paramatma realization. Here it says by the Hiranyagarbhas, or yogis. So Hiranyagarbha is another name also for Lord Brahma. In one sense, Lord Brahma has been explained as the sum total of all the jivas in Bhagavatam. All the innumerable jivas in existence, they are all in Lord Brahma, and thus he serves as a garbha, or a womb. Now Hiranya means golden. So how does the word of Brahma look? Well, it's been explained that it's a jagadanda, it's an egg. Yeah. But it's a Hiranya Jagadanda. It's a golden egg, actually. From the outside, each universe is packed in by 7 layers: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. Well, that amounts to 8, but it's explained as 7 layers. So probably the first layer is the earth itself, earth planet. I don't know how it works. But anyway, on the outside of all these layers, which are 10 times thicker each layer, it's actually bedecked with gold. So it's called the Hiranya Garbha, the golden womb of the universe. So yogis, they are seeking to to elevate themselves higher and higher by contact with the Paramatma, they may successfully penetrate all these layers and enter Vaikuntha. However, Bhagavan realizers, if that is a term, those who realize Bhagavan, that is the Bhakti Yoga practice, which is activated 100%. It's also called Tivra Bhakti. It's the intense Bhakti. Is likened to the sun rays. That the practice of Bhakti is so strong, just like the intense as a ray of the sun. The Tivra is also another feature of the sun's power to be very intense and hot. Yeah. So in that way, devotees are practicing more and more, you can say, austerities. It's called tapasya. Tapas is also a product of the sun. Sometimes also the sun is explained as tapasya or tapas, because tapas means heat generating, or the heat itself. So that is one of the features of doing austerities. One becomes, one regains one's spiritual effulgence. One becomes glowing like a sun ray. Yeah. So the Bhagavan realization is so strong and penetrating that it goes not only through all the layers of the material coverings of the universe and ends up in Vaikuntha, it even continues beyond Vaikuntha and enters Goloka Vrindavan. In that way. Yeah. So in Vrindavan, then is the Bhagavan realization on the highest level. Yeah. So it's said here that it's the last word of absolute truth. Yeah. So the example has been given for understanding this. Let's say you have a train. For somebody who never saw a train, say it's in the evening, or it's kind of foggy, and you see the train far, far away. What do you see? You just see some light, right? Just some light. So that can be likened to the Brahman realization. You don't realize actually what it is. I'm talking now about our first experience with the train in history. If you never saw the train before, we actually don't know what it is. We just see the light far, far away. You cannot see the shape. So the same with Brahman realization is indistinct. There's no shape there. It's just simply light. One can't really put any specifics on it. It's undescribed. Yeah. So in another sense, it also contains everything. It's been explained like that. Everything is in that light. Everything comes from that light, and everything is in it. Just like the sun. Without the sun, we don't have any life in this universe. So the train, though, is coming closer and closer. So after some time, the viewer of the train, he will see that the train has a specific form. He will see that there is some intelligence there guiding the train. There is a person in the train. He'll see, that in the front of the train, in the locomotive, there is, a person steering the train. He'll see from distance. He gets some idea that this is intelligently operated. Yep. So that's the same as Paramatma realization. That one understands there is intelligent guidance. Intelligent guidance for us. So in the beginning, we only get Brahman realization. We see the spirit is everywhere. Everybody is a soul. Everything is actually mystical and magical. We're all part of the spiritual reality. We're all, in the same family as souls. We are all the same, actually. We just have different package. As Paramatma realizers, when we realize Paramatma, we see that there is actually a distinct guide there in our heart, which can be separated from the other energies. So in other words, when you see the train come closer, from very far away you just see a bunch of light. You cannot see even the shape of the train. But closer, you can see there is actually a train and there is a driver in the train. So there is a difference between the train and the driver in the train. Does it make sense? So in the same way, Paramatma realization, we realize that there is a difference between Brahman, the energy, and the Paramatma. We have all the energies, we have all the souls, but still there is another soul called the super soul. So Param, it means higher. Yeah. So we are called Atma, or soul, and then Paramatma, it means the higher soul or super soul. In other words, Brahmayan Sarvabhutanam Yantra Rudhani Mayaya, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Ridesh Arjuna Tishtati, I am situated in everybody's heart, directing all the wanderings of all the living beings. Brahmayan Sarvabhutanam. So Brahmayan means, it's not the same as Brahman, is written BHRAMAN, and so on. There is Brahmayan. So that means to roll or revolve. Yeah. So in that way we're rolling in the samsara. Yeah. We're rolling and evolving also. Maybe devolving, sometimes going down or up. But who is guiding us on our travel, our journey? The Paramatma. As Krishna says, he is the Paramatma. Ishvara Sarvabhutani, I am the Ishvara. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam, or Bhutani, yeah. He says, I am the Ishvara in all the living entities. Ridesh Tishtati, yeah. I'm situated in the Rid, in the heart. In the Desha of the heart, in the place of the heart. Tishtati, I'm situated there. Brahmayan Sarvabhutanam Yantra Rudhani Maya. So all the living entities, they're just like in the machine, a yantra. Yantra has different meanings, but one of the meanings is a vehicle. Yeah. Just like a car. Hence we have the nice analogy of not being the body, that it's just like we're sitting in the car. And we are not the car, we are just driving the car. And in that way you can view even higher. Say Arjuna and Krishna, they are sitting in... not in a car, but you can call it a yantra, in a vehicle. So who is driving the vehicle? It's actually Krishna, but indirectly Arjuna is driving the vehicle. How is he doing that? Because they have the relationship. There is Partha Sarathi. Partha is Arjuna and Krishna is the Partha Sarathi. He is the driver of Arjuna. Does it make sense? So in the same way, we are the soul in the body, but we have the super soul there. So actually we're moving around because we have the desire, and super soul is actually moving our senses. Yeah, just like Krishna is actually moving, the horse cart. He is holding the reins and he's actually steering, but we are indirectly doing that because we are telling him, we are telling Paramatma, go to right, go to left. So in that way we are, playing the role as the boss, just like Arjuna was playing the role as the boss of Krishna. So how is it possible? It's because of the friendship. Krishna is the friend of Arjuna. That's why he agrees to be the driver of Arjuna's chariot. So in the same way, it's been explained that Paramatma is our best friend. So he agrees to drive our body. Yeah, it's a very great realization to get Paramatma realization. It's the start of developing our friendship with God. Yeah, he's always had the loving friendship to us, and now we're growing up. You can say spiritually, we're evolving in our consciousness. Now we can actually start reciprocating that friendship which the Lord is giving us. We can now, reciprocate and give back friendship to the Lord as the Paramatma. Does it make sense? If you have any, comments or ideas, please write it in the chat box. I will be happy to hear from you, so we can, extend the discussion in that case. So the Paramatma, in other words, he's our well-wisher. Yeah. That's also been explained in the Bhagavad Gita. That Krishna is saying that he is the Surit. Yeah. So again we have the word Rit, as we had the Riddesh. So Rid means heart. So Surit means it's close to our heart. The meaning of the word Surit is a close friend, intimate friend. So then the question is, why are we not, intimate friends with Krishna? Well, because we haven't gotten that far yet. We're working on it now. At least now we're trying to be devotees of Krishna. And Krishna, he can help us. Krishna is saying that those who try to come to me, I will give the intelligence by which they will realize me. Yeah. Those who try, they'll be rewarded by Krishna. Those who don't try, they will then be in the same relationship of being far away from Krishna, you can say. Yeah. Yeya tam mam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham. Those who get closer to me, I will reward them accordingly to how much they're endeavoring to get close to me. Krishna says in the Gita. Okay, so we'll read on. So we read that Bhagavan, or the personality of God, is the last word of absolute truth. Paramatma is the partial representation of the personality of Godhead, and impersonal Brahman is the glowing effulgence of the personality of Godhead, as the sun rays are to the sun god. Less intelligent students of either of the both schools sometimes argue in favor of their own respective realization. Well, so Prabhupada calls, the less intelligent people, that why should argue back and forth about this? There is no need to fight, because we're talking about the same absolute truth, just in different aspects. So those who are advanced, in the spiritual life, they do not argue too much. Sometimes, however, arguments are there in order to actually understand the tattva, to understand actually, the real situation of the living entity. So the situation of the living entity is that the living entity is accompanied by the Paramatma. And at the moment the living entity is interested in serving the Lord, there will be the awakening of the devotional service. That is coming from the Guru and from the Sadhu. So by Sadhu Sangha or association with Guru, one gets the Bhakti Lata Beach. Yeah. Guru Krishna Prasada Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. So we'll see here further on what is written here. As it is explained in the first sloka of the first chapter of the Bhagavatam, the supreme truth is self-sufficient, cognizant and free from the illusion of relativity. Sorry, my weak voice. As it is explained in the first sloka of the first chapter of the Bhagavatam, the supreme truth is self-sufficient, cognizant and free from the illusion of relativity. Yeah. So now we're talking about, the very beginning of the Bhagavatam. Janmadhyasayata anvyad itaratas chatesh abhigya swarat There we actually learn about the features of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Jamadi Asayataha, he's the one who everything emanates from. So creation, maintenance, and destruction all comes from the Supreme Absolute Truth. Yeah. And he is self-sufficient. That means Svarat. He's completely independent, cognizant. Abhigya, that is a word for cognizant. Yeah. And he's free from the illusion of relativity because he's absolute. In the relative world, the knower is different from the known, but in absolute truth, both the knower and the known are one and the same thing. Actually, this we also talked about yesterday, that the Tantra practice, it is the methods we are using to get closer to the absolute truth. We are in the material world, but we can use whatever we have here for the service of the Lord. And that's called Tantra. To use what is seemingly material in the spiritual, endeavor. And that will re-spiritualize the so-called material objects, because in the end, they are all actually spiritual. So in that sense, the knower of the absolute truth and the known are one and the same thing in quality. But of course, in quantity, there will be a difference, because the jiva is infinitesimally small, and Bhagavan is unlimitedly big. He is Ananta. There is no end to his greatness. Yeah. Yeah, so in the relative world, the knower is a living spirit or superior energy, whereas the known is inert matter or inferior energy. Yeah, so that's relative. So we are knowing something which is actually inferior to us, because it's said that we are actually superior to matter. Krishna is saying that in very clear terms. There are, 8 elements of the material world: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. Apareme tastvanam prakritim vidime param. Jiva bhuta mahabo yayedam dharyate jagat. But apart from these inferior material elements, then you have the superior spiritual element, which is the jiva, which is now implicated in these material elements by the force of Maya, the Maya Shakti, the energy of illusion. Yeah. So, therefore, Prabhupada says there is a duality of inferior and superior energy, whereas in the absolute realm, both the knower and the known are of the same superior energy. There are 3 kinds of energies of the supreme energetic. There is no difference between energy and energetic, but there is a difference of quality of energies. The absolute realm and living entities are of the same superior energy, but the material world is inferior energy. Yes, we belong to the superior energy, the spiritual energy. However, we are called Tatashta Shakti, which means we are in between the spiritual and the material energy, or we have the free, you can say free range of going either direction. Yeah. The living being in contact with inferior energy is illusioned, thinking he belongs to the inferior energy. Therefore, there is the sense of relativity in the material world. In the absolute, there is no such sense of difference between the knower and the known. And therefore, everything there is absolute. Yeah. So I just want to dwell on this a little, where Prabhupada said that the living being in contact with inferior energy is illusioned, thinking he belongs to the inferior energy. Yeah, so that's also explained in Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva is actually having this realization before he writes the Bhagavatam. He says, Atmanam Triguna Atmakam. The soul thinks he's made out of the 3 gunas. And a similar statement we have in the Bhagavad Gita, which I'll find now. that's Bhagavad Gita 3:27. I just copy paste this into our book here because now we're finished with the purport. So we'll just put this new verse in here, which is elaborating on what we're discussing. Yeah. So here we have Krishna saying, Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartam iti manyate. So translation is that the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So in that sense, one will not have either Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan realization. Is that understood? When we are, under this spell of the Maya, the material energy is also called Maya, then we are illusioned, bewildered, vimudha. Yeah. Vimudha also means befooled. There is the idea that if somebody plays a trick on us and we believe in the trick, then we are fooled, right? So in the same way, the material energy is working as such. The first, you can say, trick the illusory energy is playing on us is to think that we are the body. Yeah. So that is called, I'll put that on the top here. We'll see if we can read a little bit of the purport later. That's called Avaranatmika Shakti. Yeah. So that is the covering. Yeah. So covering potency of Maya. Yeah. So two potencies of Maya, if you want to make it simple like that. Yeah. So it covers us over, so that we think we are the body. We think all kinds of things in relationship to the body is also us. So that's called aham, mama, iti. Yeah. So that means I and mine. Yeah. You can put that in brackets like that, because that's really iti means that it's kind of said, it's spoken. Yeah. Or it's uttered. Yeah. So we are saying this is I and this is mine. Aham means I and mama means mine. So these are effects of the Avaranatmika Shakti, covering potency of Maya. And of course then we will feel inclined to do what is called sense gratification. And that is called Prakshepatmika Shakti. Yeah. So what kind of potency is that? It is the pulling potency. Yeah. Pulling or throwing potency. Yeah. So in other words, it pulls us, throws us down into the you can say one becomes mad after sense gratification. That's is one of the effects of that. In the extreme, it is explained as an extreme eagerness to enjoy matter. Yeah, and that is coming by the mode of passion, and the ignorance is just behind it all. Yeah. So what are the effects there? There is the effect of lobha, yeah, greed. What other? Matsarya. That means enviousness. There will be, mada, madness. all, you can say terrible effects of mental influences driving one or entangling one more and more into the material, whirlpool. Gunarma Shakti. It's called Guna Urmi Shakti. No, sorry, Gunarmi Chakra. Yeah. It's called the Guna Urmi Chakra. Yeah, so I just write as one would write when one writes with diacritic marks, and you would write chakra without an H. Yeah. So it means the whirlpool of the gunas of Maya. Yeah. Qualities of Maya is just dragging us down. Yeah. And one gets these enemies of the mind: greed, enviousness, madness, pride. Yeah, that's also another name of madness. Pride, mada, can also means pride. And then you have illusion, moha, and then you have kama, lust, and we have one more. Let's see. Greed, enviousness, pride, madness, illusion, lust, and anger, of course. Krodha. It usually ends with that. It also stands for destruction, because when one is angry, there is no violence and destruction. Yeah. So, in other words, not a very nice result of being entangled in Maya, starting with the I and my concept, Ahamamiti. It's also called Hridaya Granti. Hridaya Granti. The knot in the heart. Yeah. Like a knot you make, for tying something, yeah. So this is taken from a verse in the Bhagavatam. That it starts with the illusory contact of male and female, or Prakriti and Purusha in the material world, and then it just expands and expands and expands, ending up to cover the living entity completely. So then, of course, the question is how can we get out of that? Let's see what Prabhupada says in the purport here. He says, two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level, may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. So Prabhupada, in other words, is saying we may not need to stop what we are doing at the moment. We can just dovetail that or engage that in the devotional practice, in the spiritual practice. So that's the same as we talked about yesterday. That's actually the meaning of the Tantra. To engage what seemingly is material now in the spiritual pursuit. And that will actually gradually release one from Maya's grip, because one is serving Krishna by that. And Krishna's mercy is taking one out of the traps made by the false ego, because the correct ego is that we are servants of God. Yeah. So Prabhupada says the person in material consciousness is convinced by false ego that he is the doer of everything. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. As we already mentioned, the Supreme Lord's supervision, that is Paramatma. Yeah. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of his nescience. So nescience is another word of ignorance. He does not know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature and under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna in Krishna consciousness. The ignorant man forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Rishikesh, or the master of the senses of the material body. For due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. And that's the end of the purport to Bhagavad Gita 3.27. Yeah. So by engaging in the service of the Lord, one will gradually get one's intelligence purified. That's called Buddhi Yoga. It's a smart kind of yoga. Buddhi means, intelligent. I think I will find that verse also. It will help us a little. So I'll write that. Let's see. That's Bhagavad Gita 10.10. So let's see. Just give me a second. Okay, so here now we have the verse which tells us that the Lord will actually guide us as the Paramatma and give us intelligence. Simply by us taking one step toward him, he will take 10 steps toward us. That's a nice saying given by a devotee. Yeah. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Yeah. So the translation. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Yes. He gives the understanding by which we can come to him. So we are always acting out of understanding. So the feature of the intelligence, as described in Bhagavatam, is to have correct understanding or wrong understanding. Determination is also a part of the intelligence, as well as dream, the sleep with dreams. That's also governed by the intelligence. But it's interesting that the intelligence can have the correct understanding and the wrong understanding. And the really correct understanding would, of course, be that which is given to us by the Guru, the representative of Krishna, which is another, expansion of the Paramatma in the heart. Guru is also operating in the Bhagavad Gita. We have Krishna speaking, and then we have Srila Prabhupada, giving the purport. So both are gurus. The person who is speaking is the same as the Chaitya Guru, the Guru in our heart. And then Srila Prabhupada is the external Guru, you can say. So both are of the same tattva. It's Guru tattva. And they both give us Buddhi Yoga. They give us the means by which we can connect with Krishna. Yoga means connection. And then Buddhi Yoga means that we connect to Krishna, through our intelligence by getting intelligent instructions. So Prabhupada says in the purport, in this verse, the word Buddhi Yoga is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord instructing Arjuna said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of Buddhi Yoga. Now Buddhi Yoga is explained. Buddhi Yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness, that is the highest intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence and Yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called Buddhi Yoga. In other words, Buddhi Yoga is the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this, therefore the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. Yeah, because we don't know it, we may not do it. Yeah. So this is the ignorance. However, by reading Bhagavad Gita, by studying the books of the acharyas or devotees, then we can become enlightened. That is the purpose of our reading all these books. So that's association. That's called Sangha. Yeah. It's explained that Sadhu Sangha or Satsanga, that's one of the 5 most potent forms of practice for becoming a pure devotee. Yeah. To elevate oneself to come to the highest stage of devotional service, one needs to have good association always. And the good association as described, where this is taken into account in Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami explains that this kind of sadhu sangha is the sangha of a senior devotee who is advanced in Krishna consciousness. In other words, the real powerful sadhu sangha, when it's counted among the 5 most powerful, it is the kind of sadhu sangha where we are serving and associating with a highly advanced devotee. In other words, the guru. The other kind of sangha is also important, to associate with like-minded, or you can say devotees on the same level. And the other kind of sangha is also to take care of the devotees who are junior to ourselves. But the powerful sadhu sangha for us in spiritual life, the most powerful, is the sangha with advanced devotees who are higher than ourselves, and that we do by service, by serving them and supporting them, and taking notes about their teachings, learning from them, and inquiring also. The right way to approach the Guru for knowledge is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Tat vidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. We should be humble and submissive, surrendered, pranipat, pariprashnena. One should elevate oneself by asking questions. We have to learn by being inquisitive. And then seva, to do service. These 3 things, humility, questions, and service. That's the way to associate with the Guru and learn by that. Yeah. So Prabhupada says, one should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed, and the ultimate goal is achieved. So what is the ultimate goal? It is the Goloka of Vrindavan. That you can say that's the place, but you can say metaphysically what's happening in ourselves, what should be the goal is the prema, or the divine love of God. Otherwise it's explained that you have 2 kinds of love. It's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The definition of prema and kama. Kama or lust, that you can say is material love, and that's the desire to gratify one's senses. And prema or actual love, eternal love, that is the desire to satisfy Krishna. So their love has been defined in either case as a desire. So the desire, you can say, is one, but where it's channeled, that is, that's a different matter. It can be channeled this way or that way. In Krishna consciousness, we channel our desires towards Krishna. So Prabhupada says, when a person knows the goal of life but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna but he takes pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in jnana yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga, which is a complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life. Just to comment on that usually we are all starting out in karma yoga. Actually, we all are doing basically karma yoga and then also jnana yoga. But the highest stage beyond that is pure bhakti yoga. And that means there is no more inclination for any specific, you can say, material activity or also no inclination for liberation. That's the definition of the Uttama Bhakti in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Jnana karma adi anavritam is devoid of karma and jnana. However, by practicing Bhakti Yoga, we may elevate ourselves. By practicing Karma Yoga, it's also said that is also called Bhakti Yoga. If you do that for Krishna, for the goal of achieving Krishna, it can also be said to be Bhakti Yoga. But it may be, you can say, mixed with desires for the fruits of results. So then it's called Karma Mishra Bhakti. Yeah. Is Bhakti is devotion to Krishna, but it's mixed up with the desire for karma. Yeah. Then you have the other one, to want to have the ultimate knowledge, according to Vedas, is the knowledge which brings on liberation. So the desire for liberation is actually what drives, the jnanas we're talking about here in the Vedic connection. They want to have more and more knowledge. That means not just book knowledge, but it means actually realizations. And connected with that is a renunciation. So in that way you can say the great jnanis, they will be sannyasis. Does it make sense? The sannyasis, they are living completely in the spiritual knowledge. So in that way they can live very renounced. They don't need so many material things. However, they may have a desire for liberation, and that's not the highest platform. So that is called a Jnana Mishra Bhakti. If one is a devotee and has, a tendency to, or is attached to the knowledge itself, or is attached to liberation. Yeah. But when one just cares about bhakti to Krishna, one can do any kind of work or use any kind of knowledge, you can say, in the service of Krishna. When one is completely absorbed in that is the pure bhakti yoga. Yeah. So Prabhupada says, a person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions, so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. So that's what is said in the verse. Tadami buddhi yogam tam, yenamam upayanti te. I give him that intelligence. Yeah. Krishna says, I gave him that buddhi. Buddhi dadami. Yeah. The qualification is that the person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. Yeah. So the devotee is not intelligent enough. What does it mean? It may mean that the devotee hasn't got enough scriptural knowledge. So the devotee could study more the scriptures to understand, the tattvas or the conclusions, to understand the siddhanta, to understand the philosophy, thoroughly. That should give the devotee, the power to progress. So that intelligence is of course not there in the beginning, but gradually by keeping on studying and practicing, especially under the guidance of the guru or of the advanced devotees, the Lord is giving us chances to go further and further in our relationship with Him. Yeah. So the ultimate attainment of the Lord, that would be the Krishna Prema itself. It's said that it goes through the 9 stages, which we have talked about a few times before. It's Adau Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Ata Bhajana Kriya. So first there is the faith, and then there is the Sadhu Sangha, and then there is the Bhajana Kriya, which means also the same as Sadhana Bhakti. Yeah, so we can write that also here on the top here. Let's see. the progress. Yeah, the progress of a devotee. Yeah. So 1 starts with Shraddha. Yeah, that means faith. Yeah. And then 2 is the Sadhu Sangha. That is association with devotees. Yeah. Actually, it's explained that the faith is born actually also by the association of devotees. And in the Sadhu Sangha, then the association with devotees is increasing. Yeah. So the whole start of actually the faith is also actually the Sadhu Sangha. One becomes a devotee by the association of devotees. That's why the Sadhu Sangha is the most important. And then the third one is Bhajana Kriya. That means the same as sadhana bhakti, regulated devotional service. Yeah. So we have the regulations. Hearing and chanting about Krishna. We chant, on the mala, japa mala. We are following, rules and regulations. And we're increasing in that. Yeah, we're developing in that. So up to the point of initiation. Yeah, so that includes initiation. Includes taking shiksha and diksha. Yeah. Yeah. So one takes instruction and also initiation. That's part of Bhajana Kriya. Of course, there are examples of devotees who didn't take formal diksha initiation. But in any case, one has to be initiated into the process by the guru. Yeah. So although the formality may not be there, but one has to do it, under the shelter of the guru. Yeah. Guided by guru. Yeah. So some are rather guided by the guru. Then Bhajana Kriya is going on nicely. And then one comes to the platform of Anartha, or Anartha Nivritti. It starts escalating, yeah. Starts working. That means getting rid of unwanted things. Let's just call them things, yeah. Habits, things. Yeah, things that are in the way of bhakti. And then the fifth one, it's called nishta. Yeah, that means firm faith. Yeah, so we talked about the initial faith that may be quite weak. It's called also konashrada, or weak faith. But this nishta is very firm faith. As a result of practicing for so long time and getting the heart purified. Yeah, that we also can write here. Heart purification. Heart purification. In the inner sense of the term. It means like psychologically. So then nishta, firm faith, and then after nishta comes ruchi, which means, taste, or, even happiness. Spiritual, yeah. Taste spiritual happiness, yeah. Yeah, and then you have asakti, that means attachment, spiritual attachment, yeah. Attachment to Krishna, yeah. And that includes, Krishna's form, Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes, also Krishna's associates. All of these are good to be attached to. And it said from that platform, there's a very little chance of falling back in the process again. If some or other one can reach to that platform of Asakti, then one is one is actually going back. So one belongs to the spiritual world. So in that way, one ends up there by following this process. Yeah. Asatoma Sadgamaya. Yeah. So the progress of a devotee is Asatoma Sadgamaya. Yeah. Yeah. I just write it like this without the Sandhi. So Sat. So to go away from the darkness. Yeah. In other words, go away from that darkness, go to the light. Yeah. So in other words, go away, give up material, desires, or you say go away from materialism, go to devotion. Yeah. Go to spiritual devotion, bhakti. Yeah. So that's happening here by the 9 steps of elevation by Bhakti Yoga. So the 8th one is then Bhava. So that's spiritual emotion. And then 9 is Prema, the pure spiritual love of Krishna. Yeah. Yeah. So by practicing, Krishna will give us the buddhi or the intelligence to go through all these stages. So I hope this is something that we all can resonate with. This is our basic program in Bhakti Yoga. Yeah, the basic thing is to go away from the materialism and go to the spiritual devotion, to the bhakti, to the Krishna bhakti. Yeah, just so we are sure who is the recipient of the bhakti. It's Krishna. Yeah. Sometimes people talk about bhakti also to other gods. So just to be sure on that one, we write Krishna bhakti. Yeah. Some other accounts may be there that if you have bhakti to Lord Shiva, you may go to the planet of Lord Shiva. Yeah. But in our program, we are going to attempt to go to the planet of Krishna. Yeah. Called the Go-Loka. So Loka can also mean the planet. Yeah. What is the name of the planet? It's a Go. Yeah. It's the planet of the cows. Yeah. Just so we are sure about that. Go-Loka means the planet of the cows. Yeah. Yeah. So who is the cowherd? Yeah, if you have a lot of cows, you need a cowherd. The cowherd is Krishna. Yeah. So he is tending all the cows there, and he has friends, he has family, he has relatives. Na yatra basa te surya na sharshanko na pavaka yad gatvana nivartante tat dama paramamama. I'll also put up that verse because that is very nicely explaining the situation in the Golok. Yeah. Now let's see. Na tad pasayate suryo. Yeah. Na shashanko na pavaka. At gatva na nivartante tadama paramamama. So we'll just put this here now. It's a beautiful verse from the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna explains the situation in the spiritual world. Yeah. So what is the situation? It's explained here. Let's see. Na tad basayate suryo. So there is no sun there. Yeah. So that supreme above the mind is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Yeah. So there is no sun. Na surya, na shashanka, and also the moon is not there. Na pavakaha. There is also no fire or electricity there. Yat gatva na nivartante tadama paramamama. And those who go there, na nivartante, they never come back. Tadama paramamama. This is my supreme abode. Yeah, so Prabhupada explains in the purport here, the spiritual world, the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, which is known as Krishna Loka, Goloka, Vrindavan, is described here. In the spiritual sky, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, fire, or electricity. Yeah. Why do we don't need these things? We need them here in the material world, but there we don't need them. How can that be? Yeah. So Prabhupada will explain here now. In the spiritual sky, there are all the planets. Yeah. Because all the planets are self-luminous. Yeah. We have only one planet in this universe, the sun, which is self-luminous. We all agree the sun is giving light and heat and everything, but are the other planets giving heat and light? No. It's only one planet, yeah. And we're dependent on that one planet. In the spiritual world, however, what is the situation there? Let's read on. Yeah, we have only one planet in this universe, the sun, which is self-luminous, but all the planets in the spiritual sky are self-luminous. The shining effulgence of all those planets, called Vaikunthas, constitutes the shining sky known as the Brahma Jyotir. Actually, the effulgence is emanating from the planet of Krishna, Goloka and Vrindavan. So there is a source of all this effulgence, and that is Krishna. It actually explained that it's his bodily effulgence. Yeah. Part of that shining effulgence is covered by the Mahatattva, the material world. So now we're getting into the material world. Other than this, the major portion of that shining sky is full of spiritual planets, which are called Vaikunthas, chief of which is Goloka Vrindavan. Yeah, so let's just take a look at this. We'll read the rest on later. So what is Prabhupada saying here? He's saying all the Vaikuntha planets, all the planets in the spiritual world, they are self-luminous. And it's been explained elsewhere that actually everything in the spiritual world is self-luminous, because it's all pure spiritual energy. It's radiant. So you don't need, the sun to be there. But then Prabhupada says part of that shining effulgence is covered by the Mahatattva, the material world. So what is the Mahatattva? That is the sum total of all the material elements, and also the three gunas are there: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And they are definitely covering over. For those who are in those gunas, for all the living entities who are in the material world, they cannot see the spiritual world because of the Mahatattva. Yeah. And that's also called, the energy of the Lord, the material energy of the Lord, the Bahiranga Shakti. Yeah. So one has to get through this Bahiranga Shakti, this external material energy, and penetrate through all these layers in order to see the real effulgence of the spiritual world. Yeah. So Prabhupada says, other than this, the major portion of that shining sky is full of spiritual planets, which are called Vaikunthas, chief of which is Goloka Vrindavan. Yeah. So just to make that clear, it's been explained that you have 3/4. Yeah. Yeah. 3/4 of the spiritual world is spiritual. Yeah. Or you can say it another way, you can have 1/4. Yeah, the remaining 1/4 of the spiritual world or spiritual sky is the material world. Yeah, that's how it's explained in Puranas. Yeah. So in that way, Prabhupada says the major portion of that shining sky is full of spiritual planets. But you have 1/4 of the portion is constituting the material world, and that's the place where Mahavishnu is lying in his yoga nidra, and he's breathing out material universes out of the pores of his body. Yeah, I'll see if I can find that also. We can look at that verse that's stated in Brahma Samhita. So let's see what the Brahma Samhita says. Krishna is known as Govinda, is the Supreme Godhead. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. The spiritual place of transcendental pastimes of Krishna is portrayed in the second verse. Yeah, so now we hear about how is it actually there in the Golok. The super excellent station of Krishna, which is known as Gokul, has thousands of petals and a corolla like that of a lotus sprouted from a part of his infinitary aspect, the whole of the leaves being the actual abode of Krishna. Yeah, so it's a little, special. It's elevated English here. So in other words, we can understand it's very beautiful, like in the inside of a lotus. Text 3, the whole of that transcendental lotus is the realm wherein dwells Krishna. It is a hexagonal figure, the abode of the indwelling, predominating aspect of the Absolute. Like a diamond, the central supporting figure of the self-luminous Krishna stands as the transcendental source of all potencies. The holy name, consisting of 18 transcendental letters, is manifested in a hexagonal figure with 6-fold divisions. 4. The whole of that eternal realm, Gokula, is the hexagonal abode of Krishna. Its petals are the abodes of gopis, who are part and parcel of Krishna, to whom they are most lovingly devoted and are similar in essence. The petals shine beautiful like so many walls. The extended leaves of that lotus are the garden-like Dhamma. In other words, the spiritual abode of Shri Radhika, the most beloved of Krishna. Yeah, now we lost the text there. Let's go to text 5. Yeah. The surrounding external plane of Gokula is described in this verse. There is a mysterious quadrangular place named Shvetadvipa surrounding the outskirts of Gokula. Shvetadvipa is divided into 4 parts on all sides. The abode of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha are separately located in each of these 4 parts. Yeah, so we may not, understand much of this. After all, it's beyond our sense perception. It's beyond our material conception. These are descriptions of the spiritual reality. So although we may not understand with our brain, with our intelligence, with our logic, we can appreciate the appreciation we can have for these descriptions. This book, Brahma Samhita, was found by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's explained. He found this book. Actually, he just found chapter 5 of the Brahma Samhita. It's supposed to be a greater work with, all the chapters. But he only found the chapter 5. So that's the one, we have when we talk about Brahma Samhita. So this book here has been, translated from the Sanskrit to English by Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, whose English was very, exalted. So that way, sometimes when you read this book, you have to use your dictionary to look up words to understand the exact meaning. But in any case, we can appreciate the wonderful descriptions. Yeah. So we learn here, Shvetadvip is divided into 4 parts. Yeah. These 4 divided abodes are enveloped by the 4-fold human requirements, such as piety, wealth, passion, and liberation, and also by the 4 Vedas, which are Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva, which deal with the mantra, and which are the basis of achievements of the 4-fold mundane requirements. 10 tridents are fixed in the 10 directions, including the zenith and nadir. The 8 directions are decorated with the 8 jewels of Mahapadma, Padmas, Shankha, Makara, Kachyapa, Mukunda, Kunda, and Nila. There are 10 protectors, Dikpalas, of the 10 directions, in the form of mantra. The associates of the use of blue, yellow, red, and white are the extraordinary potencies bearing the names of Vimala, etc., shine on all sides. Yeah. Text 6. Let's see. Yeah. The Lord of Gokula is the transcendental supreme Godhead, the own self of the Lord of Gokula is the transcendental supreme Godhead, the own self of eternal ecstasies. He is the superior of all superiors and is busily engaged in enjoyments of the transcendental realm and has no association with his mundane potency. Text 7. Krishna never consorts with his illusory energy, still her connection is not entirely cut off from the absolute truth. When he intends to create a material world, the amorous pastime in which he engages by consorting with his own spiritual chit potency, Rama. So that is another word of, another name of Radha. Yeah, Rama with a long A in the end. As you can see, we talk about Rama, the incarnation of Krishna, is a long A in the beginning. The first A is long there, and not the last one. So this is, Rama is also another name of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. Yeah, so it's Krishna's female counterpart we're talking about. Yeah, in which he engages by consorting with his own spiritual chit potency Rama, by casting his glance at the deluding energy in the shape of sending his time energy, is an auxiliary activity. So it's a secondary activity when he, it's explained that he, in the form of Mahavishnu, he's looking at material energy. Yeah. He's casting his glance at that material energy, and at the same time, his glancing is going there to enter the material energy. It actually is appearing as the time energy, and the time energy is also called Kala, and that's another form of Shiva, Lord Shiva. Has been explained elsewhere. So text 8, the secondary process of association with Maya is described. Ramadevi, the spiritual chit potency, beloved consort of the Supreme Lord, is the regulatrix of all entities. The divine plenary portion of Krishna creates the mundane world. At creation there appears a divine halo of the nature of its own subjective portion, Shvamsha. This halo is divine Shambhu, the masculine symbol or manifested emblem of the Supreme Lord. Yes, so for our information, Shambhu, as I talked about Lord Shiva, yeah. So Shambhu is another, that's Shiva, yeah, is another name of Shiva. This halo is the dim twilight reflection of the supreme eternal effulgence. This masculine symbol is the subjective portion of divinity who functions as progenitor of the mundane world, subject to the supreme regulatrix, Niyati. Yeah. So in other words, we're bound up, we're controlled, yeah, by the laws of the universe. And the masculine symbol there is Lord Shiva. Sometimes you see the Shiva Linga. Yeah? That's the masculine symbol of Shiva. Yeah. The conceiving potency in regard to mundane creation makes her appearance out of the supreme regulatrix. She is Maya, the limited, non-absolute apara potency. Yeah. Yeah. So apara, so we talk about para, that means, transcendental or beyond, and apara, it means the opposite, it means mundane, not transcendental, yeah. That's embodied by Maya Devi, the Shakti of Shiva, or the wife of Shiva. The symbol of mundane feminine productivity, the intercourse of these two things brings forth the faculty of perverted cognition, the reflection of the seed of the procreative desire of the Supreme Lord. So in other words, Lord Shiva and Shakti, Shiva and Shakti combined, they are creating, the illusory experience we have here in the material world. Perverted cognition. That means there is a cognition which is absolutely, clear and real. And that is the spiritual cognition we have with our spiritual senses of the spiritual world. But here we have, the material senses perceiving the material world. Is clear, yeah? Yeah, so it's said here, again, the reflection. So it's a reflection, okay? A reflection means, you have something in the mirror. It's not the actual real thing, but it coming from something real, yeah? So this material world is said to be a reflection, yeah? So the reflection of the seed of the procreative desire of the Supreme Lord. So the original desire of procreation is coming from the Lord himself, from Bhagavan. And it's reflected in this material world. Yeah. So text 9, all offspring of the consort of the great Lord Maheshwara of this mundane world are of the same nature, of an embodiment of the mundane masculine and feminine generative organs. Yeah, so that is Maheshwara again, that's Lord Shiva. Yeah. Yeah, so text 10, the persons embodying the material causal principle, which is the great Lord of this mundane world, Maheshwara, Shambhu, in the form of the male generating organ, is joined to his female consort, the limited energy Maya, as the efficient causal principle. The Lord of the world, Mahavishnu, is manifest in him by his subjective portion in the form of his glance. Yeah. So you have the glance of Mahavishnu, what's happening? So you can say that's the separated energy of the Lord. You have the Lord and you have his glance, right? It's his energy. By glancing, he's sending his energy in there, into the material world. So he's just there indirectly. Yeah. So text 11, the Lord of the mundane world, Mahavishnu, possesses thousands of heads, eyes, hands. He is the source of thousands of avatars in his thousands of subjective portions. He is the creator of thousands of individual souls. The same Mahavishnu is spoken of by the name of Narayan in this mundane world. From that eternal person has sprung the vast expanse of water of the spiritual causal ocean, the subjective portion of Shankarshan who abides in Paravyoma, the above supreme Purusha with thousands of subjective portions, reposes in the state of divine sleep, Yoga Nidra, in the waters of the spiritual causal ocean. Yeah. So Narayana, it said the meaning of the word Narayana is, in one sense, Nara, it refers to the human beings, yeah. Nara, Ayana. So all the humans, we are residing in him. So Ayana means, the resting place, or, the shelter. So he is the resting place of all the human beings. But in another sense, Nara also means this ocean, which Mahavishnu is lying on. And in that sense, it is, the ocean is the shelter ocean, you can say. The ocean where Narayan is lying. I mean, the ocean where Mahavishnu is lying, yeah, is the Nara ocean. The Nara, place of shelter for Vishnu. So in that way, Narayan also means the one who is, resting on the ocean, Nara. Yeah. That's explained that's explained, I think it's explained even in the Bhagavatam, one place. Well, no, maybe not Bhagavatam, but another one of the Puranas. Yeah. From that eternal person has sprung the vast expanse of water of the spiritual causal ocean. So the explanation is that he's lying there, as Vishnu is lying on this ocean, and by his sweat is coming, this water. Yeah. The subjective portion of Sankarshan who abides in Paravyoma, the above Supreme Purusha with thousands of subjective portions. Yeah, so Sankarshan is another name of, the snake expansion of Baladev, by which, the Lord is resting on. Yeah. It can also be another name of the Lord himself. He expands himself in four. Yeah. To enter the material world, he expands himself in Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Yeah. And so Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Yeah. So this is, very, technical. In any case, we are purified by reading about these things. Either we understand them or not. Of course, we're not understanding. We can understand maybe just a little bit. But the main way we are getting purified is simply by hearing this and appreciating these descriptions. We have faith in these descriptions, and in that way we are making spiritual progress. Yeah. So text 13 says, the spiritual seeds of Sankarshan existing in the pores of skin of Mahavishnu are born as so many golden sperms. These sperms are covered with 5 great elements. So in other words, the 5 Panchamahabhutas, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Yeah. The same Mahavishnu entered into each universe as his own separate subjective portions. The divine portions that entered into each universe are possessed of his majestic extension. In other words, they are the eternal universal soul, Mahavishnu, possessing thousands of thousands of heads. Yeah. So text 15. The same Mahavishnu created Vishnu from his left limb, Brahma, the first progenitor of beings, from his right limb, and from the space between his 2 eyebrows, Shambhu, the divine masculine manifested hollow. Yeah, so Lord Shiva, in other words. The first one was, Vishnu, and then Brahma, and then Shiva. The function of Shambhu in relation to Jivas is that this universe, enshrining the mundane egoistic principle, has originated from Shambhu. Yeah. So actually, in one sense, our original father and mother, you can say, is Shiva and Parvati, or Shambhu and Shakti. Yeah, Shiva and Shakti. And beyond that, of course, our original mother and father is Vishnu and Lakshmi. So, text 17. Thereupon the same great personal Godhead, assuming the threefold forms of Vishnu, Prajapati, and Shambhu, entering into the mundane universe, placed the pastimes of preservation, creation, and destruction of this world. This pastime is contained in the mundane world, hence, it being perverted, the Supreme Lord, identical with Mahavishnu, prefers to consort with the goddess Yoga Nidra, the constituent of his own spiritual chit potency, full of the ecstatic trance of eternal bliss, appertaining to his own divine personality. Yeah, so again we have different terms. You have Vishnu Prajapati is another name than Lord Brahma. He's the original progenitor of living entities. Yeah. Praja. Ja means birth. Yeah, so he's the original, the birth of all the living entities here in the material world. He's giving the bodies to all the living entities. Yeah. Yeah. So there is a pastime. It's also called the Shrishti Lila, the pastime of the creation. But it is also preservation there, done by Vishnu. Creation is done by Lord Brahma. And destruction is done by Shambhu, Lord Shiva. This pastime is contained in the mundane world. So in other words, it's not going on in the spiritual world. Creation and destruction and maintenance is not going on there, because there everything is forever eternal. Has no beginning and no end. Yeah. And thus it doesn't need to be maintained either. Hence, it being perverted. Yeah, so the mundane world is the perverted, situation we talk about here. Yeah, so hence it being perverted, the Supreme Lord, identical with Mahavishnu, prefers to consort with the goddess Yoga Nidra, the constituent of his own spiritual chit potency, full of the ecstatic trance of eternal bliss, appertaining to his own divine personality. The Lord is consorting, with his own spiritual consorts. He is not entering into the material world directly. He comes in directly as the Paramatma to help us. Yeah. Okay, so text 18. When Vishnu, lying in the ocean of milk, wills to create this universe, a golden lotus springs from his navel pit. The golden lotus, with its stem, is the abode of Brahma, representing Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. Yeah. So that's the story of the creation in the material world. You have first, the material world is filled up with water from Lord Vishnu's own sweat, and he's lying on that ocean. And from his navel is growing the lotus. That's why it's also called Padmanabha. He has a lotus navel, literally, because the lotus is growing out of that navel. And there is a beautiful lotus with thousands of petals, and on that lotus Brahma is born. So he is representing Brahmaloka, also called Satyaloka, the highest planet in this material universe. Text 19. Before their conglomeration, the primary elements in their nascent state remained originally separate entities. That means before the time element, appeared inside there, and then things started moving. They were, dormant. Non-application of the conglomerating process is the cause of their separate existence. Yeah, so conglomeration means that they don't, mix with each other. So that's why they're separate. Makes sense, no? Divine Mahavishnu, primeval Godhead, through association with his own spiritual chit potency, moved Maya, and by the application of the conglomerating principle, created those different entities in their state of cooperation. Yeah, so what is said here, you have all the elements in the Mahatattva. You have earth, water, fire, air, mind, intelligence, ego. They're all separate. Yeah. You can say in the material world, are these separate? No. Even you have some earth here, you will find there is also water, fire. All the elements are mixed together. Because the time is ticking, everything is mixed, and we get unlimited different, forms and happenings here. It's all moving by time, and the gunas also, the qualities of passion, ignorance, and goodness. But originally they are, separate elements. However, they're only separated in their unmanifested, situation. Yeah, so that is, through association with his own spiritual chit potency, he moved Maya. So Maya, the illusory, power, yeah, created, you can say all of the bodies, all of us, yeah. You can say we are materially created, but of course it's explained that we as souls or jivas, we're actually eternal, but we recreated and destroyed, and then again created. Yeah, we're going through, repeated creation and destruction, and that is called samsara. That's happening all by, the potency of Maya or the Shakti, the Maya Shakti, or the energy of Shiva, which is all coming, from the glance of Mahavishnu originally. And then, after that, he himself consorted with Yoga Nidra by way of his eternal dalliance with his spiritual chit potency. Okay, so text 20. So to understand more of this, I guess we one day we have to, really read the purport here given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He has given, commentary to this. For now, we just, reading the verses themselves. Okay, so text 20. By conglomerating all those separate entities, he manifested the innumerable mundane universes and himself entered into the inmost recess of every extended conglomerate, Virad Vigraha. At that time, those jivas who had lain dormant during the cataclysm were awakened. Yeah. So what is said here, he's entering into each of them. So that is the last of three Vishnu, avatars. The first Vishnu avatar is called, the Karana Dokashaya Vishnu. He lies on the causal ocean in the spiritual world, as we explained. 1/4 of the spiritual world is meant for, the material creation. Yeah. So in that state, there is a Karana ocean, the causal ocean, and on that ocean, Mahavishnu is lying, sleeping in the Yoga Nidra, and out. Then from his pores of his body is coming one universe, from each pore of the body. Yeah. And then the second Vishnu incarnation is entering into each universe as Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. By his own sweat, he's filling up the half universe with water, and again is lying on the Sheshanaga snake incarnation. And out of his navel is growing the lotus flower on which Lord Brahma is born. Then Lord Brahma is manifesting, the living entities. And into each of the living entities' heart, the Lord is then entering as Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, the last of the three Vishnu incarnations. So that is the same as the Paramatma. As explained here, he is entering into the inmost recess of every extended conglomerate. Yeah. Virad Vigraha. Yeah, so Vigraha means, the body. Yeah. So he's entering into all the bodies as super soul. So in other words, in every body there are two persons. One is the Atma and another one is the Paramatma. Does it make sense? At that time, those jivas who had lain dormant during the cataclysm were awakened. So what is a cataclysm? It means, you have the pralaya or destruction or temporary, unmanifestation. So then all the jivas are just lying, dormant, inactive. Yeah. So it's explained also in the Bhagavad Gita like that. You have the creation is going on, and after the creation, there is the annihilation. Bhutva praliyate. So during the state of annihilation, then all the jivas are actually inactive. It's just like a comatose condition of deep sleep. Nothing is actually happening. But then when creation starts up again, then all the karmas, all the desires and so on are again activated in all the jivas by again rolling into the material world by the activation of the time. Yeah. So that means the sun is starting to move and everybody is growing and doing activities. Yeah. So text 21, the same jiva is eternal and is for eternity and without a beginning joined to the Supreme Lord by a tie of eternal kinship. He is transcendental spiritual potency. Yeah. So the jiva is eternal and has a relationship with the Lord, which is also eternal, yeah, without a beginning. Eternal kinship means eternal friendship or family. Actually, a family, a relationship. The divine lotus, which springs from the navel pit of Vishnu, is in every way related to the spiritual tie with all souls and is the origin of four-faced Brahma, versed in the four Vedas. Yeah, so Brahma, he has four heads. And in that way, he is represented by the four Vedas, you can say. He's speaking, one Veda from each of his four heads. Text 23, on coming out of the lotus, Brahma, being guided by the divine potency, turned his mind to the act of creation under the impulse of previous impressions. But he could see nothing but darkness in every direction. Yeah, so this is also explained in Bhagavatam when Lord Brahma was born. It was just darkness there. He didn't know why he was there even. He was bewildered. Then the goddess of learning, Saraswati, the divine consort of the Supreme Lord, said thus to Brahma, who saw nothing but gloom in all directions. O Brahma, this mantra, which is Klim Krishna Govindaya Gopujana Vallabhaya Sva, will assuredly fulfill your heart's desire. Text 25. O Brahma, do thou practice spiritual association by means of this mantra, then all your desires will be fulfilled. Actually, this mantra which I just mentioned, it said that it shouldn't be uttered publicly. So sorry for that. I didn't expect to see this mantra here. I have read this book before, this many years ago, so I didn't remember that. So that's called the seed mantra, and it's very powerful. O Brahma, do thou practice spiritual association by means of this mantra, then all your desires will be fulfilled. It said that if one chants this mantra purely, but one has to have the Diksha initiation for that. This mantra is given to Brahmanas. So you can say Brahmana is coming from Lord Brahma. Yeah. It says in the beginning, in the Satyuga there, or in the beginning of creation, everybody was just Brahmanas. Everybody was pure like Hamsa, saints. But gradually one became more and more impure by the force of the Yuga, by the force of the time. And then you got Kshatras, Vaishyas and Shudras and everybody else. And so you need to go through the process of Vedic samskaras like this to get purified and become qualified to do these things like chanting this mantra. So there's like a whole progress now of purification and qualification to chant these divine mantras. So Brahma, being desirous of satisfying Govinda, practiced the cultural acts for Krishna and Goloka, Lord of Shvetadvip, for a long time. His meditation ran thus: there exists a divine lotus of 1,000 petals, augmented by millions of filaments, in the transcendental land of Goloka. In its hall there exists a great divine throne on which is seated Lord Sri Krishna, the form of eternal effulgence of transcendental bliss, playing on his divine flute, resonant with the divine sound, with his lotus mouth. He is worshipped by his amorous milkmaids with their respective subjective portions and extensions, and also by his external energy, who stays outside, embodying all mundane qualities. Yeah. So text 27. Then Gayatri, mother of the Vedas, being made manifest, in other words imparted by the divine sound of the flute of Sri Krishna, entered into the lotus mouth of Brahma, born from himself, through his 8 ear holes. Yeah, as you remember, Lord Brahma has 4 heads, so he has 8 ears. Yep. The lotus-born Brahma, having received the Gayatri sprung from the flute song of Sri Krishna, attained the status of the twice-born, having been initiated by the Supreme Primal Preceptor Godhead himself. So this Gayatri mantra we saw before, yeah? And it's supposed to not be, spread in public. It's supposed to be given, privately by one's guru, one's Diksha guru. Okay, so enlightened by the recollection of that Gayatri, embodying the 3 Vedas, Brahma became acquainted with the expanse of the ocean of truth. Then he worshipped Sri Krishna, the essence of all Vedas, with this hymn. Yeah, so now we are coming to, the Govinda Madhipurusham, which we are used to, where each verse is ending with Govinda Madhipurusham. Yeah. So this verse is known to us in the Sanskrit because this we are playing every time, in Iskcon when we have, the darshan of the deities around 7 o'clock in all Iskcon temples. Yeah. You remember how it goes? Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yeah. Venum Kvanantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham Bharavatamsam Asitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya. Yeah. Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So the translation to that is, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, So primeval Lord, it means Adi Purusha. Yeah. The first progenitor who is tending the cows. Yielding all desire. In abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees. They're called Kalpa Vriksha. Yeah. That means wish-fulfilling trees. Always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. Kandarpa Koti, Kaminiya Vishesha Shobham. Yeah. Oh no, sorry, that's the next verse is saying that. Yeah. That there it says Kandarpa Koti Kaminiya Vishesha Shobham. Yeah. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute. Venum Kvanantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham, Barhava Tamsam, Astambuddha Sundarangam, Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham, Govinda Madhi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yeah. With blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with a figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds. Yeah. And his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. So he said that the cupid in the material world is charming the jiva, or all of us, to fall in love, you can say, with the illusory energy. But you have the transcendental cupid, which similarly makes one fall in love with Krishna. Yeah. And that's part of, the chanting of the Gayatri Mantra is talking about this. Okay, so text 31. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified with a moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful, threefold bending form of Shyamasundara is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality. Okay, let's read that again. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. Text 33. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning. Yeah. And the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. Yeah. So these are all descriptions of your understanding of the majesty of the Lord. How he is completely above our mundane existence. These are attributes of the Lord. Text 34. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord. Only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayam by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. So it may take a long time to realize the Lord by these processes of yoga and jnana. However, by bhakti yoga it may go quicker. He is an undifferentiated entity, and there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. Yeah, so he is also in every one of the atoms. So here said in the Sanskrit, Adantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam. So he is in each Paramanu, which means atom in Sanskrit. And that's also in his feature as Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, the last of the three Vishnu avatars, as we explained before. He's not only entering actually I didn't explain that before, that he enters also the atoms actually also in that feature. Not only the hearts of all living entities, but he's actually everywhere. in that feature. Yeah. I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas, by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidants, Sakis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever-blissful spiritual rasa. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shambhasundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their hearts of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the soul of love. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifests himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc., as his subjective portions. Text 40. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose effulgence is the source of the non-differentiated Brahman mentioned in the Upanishads, being differentiated from the infinity of glories of the mundane universe, appears as the indivisible, infinite, limitless truth. So this was also referred in our verse for today, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.11, which we talk about today, where it says, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. And Prabhupada said in the purport there, he said that this is, that impersonalists, they are going for the Brahman realization, for the Brahman mentioned in the Upanishads. You remember? That was said in that purport by Srila Prabhupada. So here we learn that this is actually the effulgence of Bhagavan, of Govinda. Brahman is simply his effulgence. There is much more to be had in their relationship. As I mentioned, the analogy of the train, which you see from far away, you just see the effulgence of the train, you just see the light, you don't see even the form of the train. When it comes closer, you see the form. You see that there is a driver in the train. And in other words, there is a difference between the person in the train and the train itself. So that's Paramatma realization, which comes after Brahman realization. But Brahman realization itself is it is a realization of the infinite, the unlimited, truth, spiritual truth. There is no end to it. There is no end to the forms and things, that can take place in Brahman. Is endless possibilities of manifestation there. So text 41. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is the absolute substantive principle, being the ultimate entity in the form of the support of all existence, whose external potency embodies the threefold mundane qualities, which is sattva, rajas, and tamas, and diffuses the Vedic knowledge regarding the mundane world. Yes, so as we talked about before, the external energy, in one way you can just say it consists of sattvagun, rajagun, and tamagun, which are goodness, passion, and ignorance. And from these three modes, then all the material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego, the five knowledge acquiring senses, the five working senses, all these are manifested from the three modes. Yeah. Okay, so text 42. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane world by the activity of his own pastimes, being reflected in the mind of recollecting souls as the transcendental entity of ever blissful cognitive rasa. Text 43. Lowest of all is located Devadama, the mundane world. Next above it is Maheshdama, above of Mahesh, Shiva, of course. Above Maheshdama is placed Haridama, the abode of Hari, and above them all is located Krishna. Krishna is located Krishna's own realm named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those greater realms. Yeah, so we understand that the Devidama, the mundane world, that's our world. Here, it's governed by, as we mentioned before, Maya Devi, the husband of Lord Shiva. So above that is actually, the Maheshdama, or the world of Shiva, Shiva Loka. So that is said, it is also, it's also there. And Shiva also has his servants like that. Devotees of Krishna is not interested in going there. However, devotees of Shiva, they may want to go there. Yeah. And then above, the above of Shiva is a Haridama. In other words, that is, the Vaikuntha planets. Hari is usually, the name of Lord Vishnu, another name of Lord Vishnu. And above there we have Goloka Vrindavan, which is Krishna's specific abode. So text 44, the external potency Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the Chit potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. So in other words, we're learning here that Maya Devi or Durga Devi, she is a servant of Krishna, right? That's what Lord Brahma says. She conducts herself in accordance with the Lord's will. And what is she doing? She is, creating, preserving, and destroying. Now it says that she is doing that, but didn't we previously learn that it is Vishnu who is preserving, and it's Lord Brahma who is creating, and destroying is Shiva. So how come Durga is now put to do this? Well, the original creation, preservation, and destruction is done by these three. But then Durga is actually directly doing it here, you can say, in our day-to-day life, because she is the illusory potency. After all, you remember, it's just actually, an illusion. She is the closest, you can say, to our existence right here and now, from the material point of view. That's why it said we are in the Devi Dhamma. Yeah, she is ruling everything here, really. However, she does this, as a shadow of the Chit potency. Yeah. So what is the Chit potency? The Chit potency is the spiritual potency. You can even call it, the loving potency of the Lord. That's the potency which the devotees are operating in when they are, in Goloka Vrindavan. That's the Ladini Shakti, right? It's the loving potency by which, Krishna has pastimes with his devotees, by which he has relationships with his devotees. Now, when that is pervertly reflected, that is called shadow. Shadow is also, not the name of saying reflection. A shadow of the real thing. So it's still, taking the shape of the real thing, but it's not actually the real thing. So in that way, the Maya or illusory potency is giving us these same engagements and loving relationships here in the material world, but they are actually just, you can say, a shadow of the original activity in the spiritual world, which is going on by the Chit potency. So you have the Chit Shakti, spiritual Shakti, which is, the actual, original, real deal. And then you have the Maya Shakti, which is giving, the illusory reflected situation. And Durga is taking charge of that. Text 45, just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, but yet the effect curd is neither the same as nor different from its cause, which is milk. So I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. So here the situation of Lord Shiva is described. That let's just say that milk is the original object. I mean, the original dravya or product. The original substance is milk. And then if you put some acid into that, I heard somebody said you can have tamarind mixed with milk, and then it creates yogurt or curd. Yeah. So then you have a transformation of milk into curd. So you can say it's no longer the same as milk, but also it's not different from milk. So in the same way, Lord Shiva is not Krishna, but at the same time he's also not different from Krishna because he's produced of Krishna. Does it make sense? So he's here in the material world to do a job. Yeah. he's doing the work of destruction. Yep. He's taking charge of the tamagun, or the or ignorant element of the material world. Text 46. The light of one candle being communicated to other candles, although it burns separately in them, is the same in its quality. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who exhibits himself equally in the same mobile manner in his various manifestations. Yeah. 47. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who, assuming his own great subjective form, who bears the name of Shesha, replete with the all-accommodating potency and reposing in the causal ocean with the infinity of the world in the pores of his hair, enjoys creative sleep, yoga nidra. Yeah. So Shesha, in other words, actually Shesha is explained, as that snake incarnation is called Sheshanaga. Yeah. So the Lord is lying on that Sheshanaga and having his yoga nidra sleep. Yeah. And then text 48, Brahma and other lords of the mundane worlds, appearing from the pores of hero Mahavishnu, remain alive as long as the duration of one exhalation of the latter, Mahavishnu. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose subjective personality, Mahavishnu, is the portion of portion. Yeah. Yeah. So Yakarana Arnava Jale Bhajati Smayoga Nidram Anantam Jagadanda Saroma Kupaha. Yeah, so that was text 47, saying that the Lord Mahavishnu is lying. Vishnu Mahan say Yasya Kala Vishesha. Yeah. So he's just a portion of Govinda. Govinda Madhipurusha Maham Bhajami. He's a kala, or portion of Govinda, and he's lying on the Karana ocean. So now we're talking about in the spiritual world. In 1/4 of the spiritual world, this is happening. He's lying there on the coastal ocean, and out of his body, while he's sleeping in the yoga nidra, he's breathing out. When he's breathing out, all the universes are appearing out of his pores, and when he's breathing in, all the universes are going in again. And the time that takes, at least for our universe, is stated to be 311 trillion 40 billion years. That's an out-breath of the Lord. And the in-breath is kept just as long time. So that's the time of, you can say, non-manifestation of the material world. Yeah. Text 49. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom the separated subjective portion Brahma receives his power for the regulation of the mundane world, just as the sun manifests some portion of its own light in all the effulgent gems that bear the names of Surya, Kanta, etc. Text 50. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha upon the pair of tumuli protruding from his elephant head, in order to obtain power for his function of destroying all the obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. Yeah, so as we have learned about Ganesh, he's the destroyer of obstacles. That's why he's so popular to being worshipped by everybody. He destroys obstacles on our path. But who is giving the power to Ganesh? That is Govinda. So we might just as well worship Govinda directly. Text 51. The three worlds are composed of the 9 elements, which is fire, earth, ether, water, air, direction, time, soul, and mind. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda from within. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom they originate, in whom they exist, and into whom they enter at the time of the universal cataclysm. Yeah, so at the time of universal, say, destruction, the three worlds are also destroyed. So that will be at the end of Lord Brahma's day. Then he has his sleeping time, and then the three worlds are not there. They are decomposed, and then the Brahma is waking up again. He has a recreation of the material world. Yeah. So what is the three worlds, by the way? That is, the earth plane, the Bhumandala, yeah, the earthly plane, and then over there you have, the heavenly plane, you can say. And then below there you have the you can say the lower worlds. Yeah. So we are in the middle plane. Yeah, so the lower worlds are said to be, demonic by nature. The upper worlds are said to be, divine by nature. In the middle world, you can say there is a mixture of the two. In the middle world, one could choose to go up or go down. So that's why the earth plane is called the karma bhumi, a place where karma is being... We make good karma, we go upwards to the higher worlds. We make bad karma, we go down to the lower worlds. Yeah. Okay, so let's read on. Text 52, the sun, who is the king of all the planets, full of infinite effulgence, the image of the good soul, is as the eye of this world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs his journey, mounting the wheel of time. Yeah, so this is also the explanation of the sun god, that he's, he's traveling in his chariot, and that chariot actually only has one wheel. And he's traveling in a circular fashion. And his travel is creating, the day and night. Why the day and night is created is because you have the mountain in the middle there, Mandara mountain. When he's on one side, the light is blocked on the other side, right? So that's called, the wheel of time, also the sun wheel. Because if you hadn't have the sun, the time would also not be there. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, the time is activated immediately when the sun starts traveling. The time passing, is happening when the sun is passing with its rays. Starting with one, passing over one atom, you have the first time unit. And then you just add on the time after that to become bigger and bigger time units. Ending up with Dvipararda, which is the time unit of the existence of Lord Brahma. Okay, so text 53. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, by whose conferred power are maintained the manifested potencies that are found to exist, of all virtues, all vices, the Vedas, the penances, and all jivas, from Brahma to the meanest insect. Text 54. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who burns up to their roots all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion, and impartially ordains for each the due enjoyment of the fruits of one's activities, of all those who walk in the path of work in accordance with the chain of their previously performed works. Yeah, so this verse is saying, karmani nirdati kintu chabakti bhajam. Is one verse which is good to know, because it says that by doing, bhakti yoga, devotion, then all, the karma is burned up. Yeah. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who burns up to their roots all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion, and impartially ordains for each the due enjoyment of the fruits of one's activities. So for everybody else who is not doing bhakti yoga, they will enjoy the fruits of their activities, of course. Yeah. Of all those who walk in the path of work, in accordance with the chain of their previously performed works. No less in the case of the tiny insect that bears the name of Indragopa than in that of Indra, king of the Devas. Yeah. Yes, to Indragopa, Atava Indra. Yeah. For all of them, the law of karma works. However, for the devotees, the karma is being burned up and will not give, either good or bad results. In other words, the activities of devotees is classified as akarma, or transcendental, not under the jurisdiction of either good or bad karma. It's simply akarma, beyond the karma. Yeah. Text 55. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, the meditators of whom, by meditating upon him under a sway of wrath, amorous passion, natural friendly love, fear, parental affection, delusion, reverence, and willing service, attain to bodily forms befitting the nature of their contemplation. Yeah, so here we are talking about the rasas, starting, well, the rasas are here's also mentioned, you can say, actually here is mentioned the different, emotions which are going on in the spiritual world, which devotees can tap into by the practice of Bhakti Yoga. These emotions are all connected, in other words, with Krishna directly. In that way, they will also, help the devotee attain to that spiritual situation in which the devotees naturally will prefer. Yeah. So text 56. I worship that transcendental seat known as Shvetadvipa, where, as loving consorts, the Lakshmis in their unalloyed spiritual essence practice the amorous service of Supreme Lord Krishna as their only lover, where every tree is a transcendental purpose tree, where the soil is the purpose gem. All water is nectar, every word is a song, every gate is a dance, the flute is the favorite attendant, effulgence is full of transcendental bliss, and the supreme spiritual entities are all enjoyable and tasty, where numberless milk cows always emit transcendental oceans of milk, where there is eternal existence of transcendental time, who is ever present and without past or future, and hence is not subject to the quality of passing away even for the space of half a moment. That realm is known as Goloka, only to a very few self-realized souls in this world. Text 57. On hearing these hymns containing the essence of the truth, the Supreme Lord Krishna said to Brahma, Brahma, if you experience the inclination to create offspring by being endowed with the real knowledge of the glory of Godhead, listen, my beloved, from me to this science set forth in the following 5 shlokas. When the pure spiritual experience is excited by means of cognition and service, bhakti, super excellent unalloyed devotion characterized by love of Godhead, by love for Godhead, is awakened towards Krishna, the beloved of all souls. The highest devotion is attained by slow degrees, by the method of constant endeavor for self-realization, with the help of scriptural evidence, theistic conduct, and perseverance in practice. Text 60. These preliminary practices of devotion, sadhana bhakti, are conducive to the realization of loving devotion. Loving devotion, that whom there is no superior well-being, who goes hand in hand with the attainment of the exclusive state of supreme bliss, and who can lead to myself. Abandoning all meritorious performances, serve me with faith. Abandoning all meritorious performances, serve me with faith. Sounds like Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharma Paricheda Mamekam Sharanam Raja. The realization will correspond to the nature of one's fate. The people of the world act ceaselessly in pursuance of some ideal. By meditating on me by means of those deeds, one will obtain devotion characterized by love in the shape of the supreme service. Listen, O Vidhi, I am the seed, in other words, the fundamental principle of this world of animate and inanimate objects. I am Pradhana, the substance of matter. I am Prakriti, the material cause. And I am Purusha, efficient cause. This fiery energy that belongs specifically to the Brahman, that inheres in you, has also been conferred by me. It is by bearing this fiery energy that you regulate this phenomenal world of animate and inanimate objects. So that's the end of the Brahma Samhita. So thank you so much for being with me on this journey through the Brahma